Today we awaken in the world of Enshrouded. This co-op survival RPG allows you to explore and build your base in vast areas. But is there anything that makes this game special? Or is it just another copy and paste survival game? Well, let's find out right here on the First 30. Thank you for listening to the First 30. I'm your host, Chad Callahan, and alongside me are those in the alleyway that you're not too quite worried about. Tim Harris.
Hello.
David Marino.
Not worried about.
Yeah, we're not worried about you. And Rick Weird Beard Hogerhide.
I feel like I'm a calming presence if you meet me in the alley. You go, oh, this guy's definitely not strong enough to rob me.
That's kind of how I think of it. Yeah, I'm not too worried about you guys. I think I messed up how I meant to say that, but it's fine. It's fine. We're rolling with it.
The question is it a good thing to not be considered a threat, or are we like missing out on being
it depends.
Manly men?
Yeah. So see, there's this meme on gay Instagram where it's like like you try to be extra gay to women so they know that you're not a threat. So like when you're walking past them, you like extra like, hey girl, you just go beyond so that way they know that you're not a creeper. You know what I mean?
It's the gay calling card. Like,
yeah, like so it's like they're like not worried when you're like crossing them at the street. You know what I mean? Like
the bigger question is were you able to download gay Instagram from the normal app store? Or is there
have to go into the gay app store.
The gay app. The gas.
The cap.
It's the Gaggle Play Store.
Yeah, Gaggle. Yeah, it's very different. It's a whole different place. Much more lively and rainbows everywhere. The Republicans hate it. It's fine. But I have a fun game for you. Since this is what we're playing today, Enshrouded is a survival build-based kind of game. I wanted to harken back to another very popular survival build-based game, and we're going to talk a little bit about pals. But in this one, we're going to do pals or Pokemon. So what I'm going to do, David will probably know most of these because he's pretty much beaten the game. And there's not a ton of pals. I think there's like
close.
There's like 100 and something pals. So
that's still
David
a lot.
Dave will just
there's 111 of them.
Yeah. Still a lot, but I'm sure he knows all of them. But between Tim and Rick, I want to see if you guys can figure out if this is a pal or a Pokemon.
Okay.
All right? So and I'll give you a light description of them. So all right, the first one is called Mastiff. It is a red dog with a yellow slight mohawk.
I think
is it a pal or Pokemon?
The dog Pokemon I know is Houndour, I believe. Right. So I think this is a pal.
I think this is a Pokemon 100% with a name like that. Yeah.
Tim is right. It is a Pokemon. Yeah. These are some of the new versions. So I went with some of the hard, like within, was it Violet and
I actually might have had one of those on my team.
And Violet? These should be new. All right, moving on. The next one is called Pawmi, and it is kind of like, it almost looks like a Pikachu kind of thing, but it's like orange. It's got the same kind of puffy cheeks, except instead of it being red, it's yellow. It almost looks like it's got like a flame for a haircut.
Oh, that's a Pokemon. I know that one.
Yeah,
he's like monkey,
there's a
right?
lot of Pikachu ripoffs now, so I'm gonna go with Rick on this one.
You're correct. It is a Pokemon.
All right. It's definitely, I think that's a starter in one of the new ones, right?
Probably. It's probably in Violet. I haven't played Violet, so you're
well,
going beyond my
the starter
knowledge
in Violet is like an apple gator.
Oh, it's
that's right.
Hold on, what's his face? What? Fuecoco.
Fuecoco.
Because apple and I think Fuego is
that's
apple.
Right. I get my Waluigi bird in that one.
Fuego's fire.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm blind. I'm deaf. I'm dumb.
Hold on. It's Manzana is apple.
Manzana is apple. You're right.
Maybe he's supposed to be a pepper then. I don't know.
All right. Next one. Ragnahawk is a giant bird with a giant flaming ponytail.
It's a pal. I know nothing. I know zero Pal World characters, but I am confident.
Sure. I'll go with Rick.
So if it is a pal, I have not encountered this one yet.
It is a PAL. It looks like it's one of the later game ones. I think you probably find this in the volcano area, probably a little bit further in. So
maybe freaking Josh up here got like a dragon when we were level 7. I have no idea. He's sitting there flying around like, what the hell?
Yeah, there's some crazy ones in this game. And
is it the big blue? World? The big blue dragon?
It was like a black and red dragon. It was an actual dragon.
Oh, that's Yormintide. Yes.
Is it? Okay.
That thing's huge.
All right. Next on the list, I lost it. Milcery. It is just a white blob that just floats.
Okay. With a name like that, I'm going with Pokemon because they just don't try with names anymore.
The only one that I know is Miltank, which was the cow one from one of the trainers that was
OP.
super. Yeah, OP.
Yeah, that's all the way back in Gen 2.
Pal is what
You're saying it's a PAL?
Yes.
I'm going to say
Pokemon?
I'm going to say Pokemon.
Okay. It is a Pokemon. It turns into Alcremie, which is just cream with
ice cream?
strawberries on it. I mean, maybe it looks like ice cream. It looks like it's maybe cream or maybe an ice cream with 2 strawberries on top of its head.
It's one of those really stupid Pokemon.
Yeah.
I promise you. Have you seen the South Park episode where they do debt relief stuff?
The Chimpokemon.
Yeah. That's how they name them.
Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Chimpokemon. Hello. Yeah. That's exactly how they name it. It's just like,
that was the Pikachu. Yeah, Shoo. And the Pikachu thing has like a Gatling cannon on its arm.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, it's the best part of the game.
Classic
Anytime
episode.
you collect one, it goes, Chimpokemon. Yeah, it's so good.
All right. The last one. Wumpo. And this is a giant beetle with what looks to be drills or like really tough claws on its as hands.
Wumpo?
Wumpo.
See, Tim was right earlier.
Oh, yeah. I got this wrong. Sorry.
What?
I think I'm reading this.
You look at the wrong name.
The wrong name. Wumpo is not the beetle. It is a giant snowman kind of Yeti looking thing.
It still doesn't matter. Well, I'm going off vibes here. There is there's no scientific method to this. They're both so low effort that I think you could definitely get away with it. But I'm going to game theory this and say you haven't had enough pals on here, so I would say it's a pal.
I'm gonna go Pokemon. I realize this one doesn't have drills for hands, and that was a giveaway for me, but I'm still going Pokemon on this one because a Yeti named Wumpo.
So, listen, they're both fucking garbage. They could absolutely happen in either game.
That's true.
All right, David?
So I know what this one is.
It's a pal. It's a pal.
It's a pal.
Okay. It is a pal. Yeah, it is definitely a pal.
Wumpo. What a dumbass name. If I ever met Wumpo, I would shove him in a locker. I don't know who he is, but
he's really cute though. You'd like him if you met him. He looks like lovable. He's like one of those guys that at like when you like at like a new place who looks like he'd be kind of like scary, but then like you're like, oh, he's like got a heart of gold. That's Wumpo.
I'm sentencing him to 10 years in the mines. There's no other life for him.
Damn. All right. Well, moving on to another survival game. Today we're playing a co-op survival game where you make magic wands from the bones of your enemies. This is Enshrouded.
If this is to be the end, then I will tell them of the beginning. Of how your spark was ignited. Of your will to survive. Of the power that flowed from within you into this enchanting realm of beauty and decay. Your flame has grown strong, but in the end, it was not enough. You answered the call, but who answered yours?
A quick reminder, if you are watching this or listening to this, you can find this also on YouTube, and you can find that at youtube.com/@first30podcast. But let's get right into this game. At the top of this, we talked about Palworld, which is probably the biggest survival game at the moment. Like outside of Minecraft, like no one's talking about any survival thing outside of Palworld. It's just like dominating YouTube and Twitch and everything. So I have a feeling that we're gonna, layer some Palworld-esque talk in here off the top. So I want to quickly ask, how does this stack against other survival games? Maybe not necessarily Palworld, but just other survival games. Tim, you had some comparisons that you had to draw.
Yeah, I mean, so this game is every other survival game, let's be real. Like the genre is just copy and paste, and most of the games are exactly the same with, a shiny coat of magic or something here and there, but they're all the same game. If you're gonna like make comparisons, I guess, you could compare this to things like Palworld and Valheim.
Palheim?
In that it almost feels, because Valheim and Palworld are very good at this, where you can just go out and collect resources and you're fine, right?
Yeah.
This game, as far as I can tell, doesn't have an actual weight limit. Both those games do.
Gross.
But it treats things basically the same. And that's one of the big upsides, for the most part, is that you can go out and explore and enjoy your time and come back and not have to worry about being weighed down like you do in a lot of other games.
It's a little bit like Minecraft, where it's more of like you're just limited by your inventory so much, and maybe stamina a little bit, like because there is like a stamina bar, like it's not a bar, it's like a circle, which right in the middle, so you lose your stamina, similar to like almost every other survival game, or most games really at this point, where they have little stamina bars. But yeah, I guess there's nothing new to this game that I've seen so far. Like, to be honest, we only played 2 hours, and honestly, I'll say it's a bit of a slog at the beginning of this game. There's a lot of I don't know what I'm doing kind of feeling throughout this.
Wait, can we talk about how that's like a new design mechanic that games just go, hey, you're straight into the game, you know nothing about anything. Just give me 10 minutes of holding my hand and patting my butt as I walk through, because I did not open the menu, I think, more than 4 times in our entire 2 hours. I would just punch stuff. Like, that was my entire way of identifying what to do is, can I punch it? I'm going to punch it. And then, like, I don't know.
Yeah. This game, I have to say, having played it on my own when the demo first came out, it's less of a slog by yourself because you actually pay attention to the story beats that they throw at you at the beginning, which is the tutorial for this game. And it walks you basically straight through the first boss of the game. And if you actually follow that, it's much less of a slog because it gets you, all the materials you're going to need and kind of teaches you how to use the blacksmith and where you're getting your glider and all that. Like, we missed a lot of that because we were just dicking around instead of following the game. But
we have a habit of doing that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I think you say that maybe on your own, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of people like us who are just going to be like, they gave me this world, I just want to explore it, and then you get kind of confused. You know what I mean? When you, yeah, sure, there's some indicators of where to go, but to be fair, it wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't super obvious. I mean, there's a giant beacon in the distance, but like it doesn't quite, like when you start walking into the shrouded area, you start to kind of panic a little bit. It's not like it gives you too much of a hand-holding experience tutorial wise when you start getting into those areas.
Well, it does explain all of that to you.
It does, but like I ran past it because I was being chased by a monster. So like I couldn't like sit there and read the thing because it was literally like there's a dead corpse, and as I was reading it, I was being chased by something, so I ran away. So like, you know what I mean? It like doesn't like stop the game to like tell you like, hey, this is a scary area. It's a scaria. Okay, maybe you should be worried about it.
Yeah, because what was that other like open worldish game we played? Ravenbound.
This is very similar to Ravenbound.
You come out of the cave and it's like, okay, like we're going to take you over here. Here's a group of enemies. This is what you do. Okay, you did that. Now go this way. Was it like Breath of the Wild has that just kind of blocked off area where the tutorial is right at the beginning, and then the world opens up. Like that might be something good to have where it's like, okay, you're doing this little bit, you have to finish this before we're going to open the world up to you and you can start digging around.
Yeah, I think having the world open is a detriment to the new players. More so people like me who are very like shiny object obsessed, who will be like, I'd rather do that than whatever this is over here. So I don't know, force me to do it. Force me to do the tutorial, I think, or give me the option to skip it if I already know what I'm doing. You know, don't punish those who have already played the game. That's just my 2 cents. You know, you could bash me all you want, but I think I need a little bit of, I agree with Rick. I think I need a little bit of hand holding at the very beginning of this game, more so than just like opening it up and like hoping I come across the dead corpse that gives me the indicator that like this is a scary area. But David, I know you have some issues with the interface of this game, which to be fair is one of the biggest gripes I'm going to say right off the bat that I personally have with it too. I think there's a billion and different ways that they could have done this, but I want to hear what you have to say about this interface.
Yeah, well, first off, right off the bat, I want to say some positive things because they do some really nice things with your with the way the interface is set up. First of all, 2 action bars, fantastic.
Yep.
I absolutely love being able to switch between hot swap between 2 sets of inventories on the fly. That's great. The backpack, no encumbered weight, always nice. You don't have to worry about being too slow or not being able to move. Because that's what I really don't like in Pal World, how once you like, you'll slow down up into a certain point and then they just lock you in place. Like, 50. No, fuck you.
50.
Put some stuff on the ground. You're not carrying anymore. But this one, you know, just you have your inventory slots. But the crafting interface in particular, there's so much, I don't want to say dead space because they do fill it up with like text and like this is for this is for this. Yeah. But like all of the items you can select are this really small cramped list over on the left hand side. And you have to like scroll through to get to the bottom of, I think it was like the armors and the weapons were at the bottom when like all of your base building stuff was at the top. And then there's just like 90% of the screen is like a lore box that has a picture of what you're going to build. And like, you need these items and there's so much space in between all of the little text box that show you what you're going to need. You like switch those around almost like,
yeah, I agree.
The menu about what you're going to select. Like, you know, I want to craft this and maybe have like a little hover tooltip that says you need this and this, this. Mm-hmm. Okay. The thing on the other side, a smaller box that's like the lore or whatever, and then you can put your stuff in and craft it. But it just felt like there was so much like the stuff that you want to do was such a small portion of the screen was the stuff that like does not matter.
Right. Like the most important thing is smaller than just like the nice to know kind of things.
The most important thing is the stats. Thank you.
Stats are important, but like that was also very
stats are nice,
tiny comparatively to everything else. But I want to jump on that because on top of that, when you open your backpack, I actually was like, oh, okay, I like the backpack system. But the problem is, so at the very top are like tabs, and it says like crafting, and I don't remember what other stuff on there. But I went to go click it. You can't click in it. You have to press the coordinating button instead. Why show me the tab instead? I had to press V instead of.
You can click it.
Yeah, it wouldn't let me. That might have been a glitch on my end then, because I sat there and tried to click it because it wouldn't let me click, and I was so irritated. So, okay, that might be an early access glitch then on my end then, because I was irritated to no end that I couldn't get to the crafting menu from my backpack. I was like, because I couldn't remember what anything was.
Speaking of clicking on things, though, this is like a 100% me problem, but they do that thing where whenever you unlock or whenever you discover something new or you unlock something, they put a little new pip next to that item.
And you can't get rid of it until you look at it.
And you cannot get rid of it until you click on that item. Okay.
I hate that
Let me mouse over all of the new stuff. And as soon as you bring up the little tooltip of what it is, go away.
Yeah.
I don't care about whether or not I haven't looked at this yet. Okay.
I'd
you know who does that?
Pal
World does that. All I got to do is mouse through the wheel and all the little new pips go away.
You're banned from using the P word for the next 10 minutes of this podcast.
Get a shot every time he said pip. I also hate that. But the one thing I also don't like is essentially with the oh shoot, I was gonna say the pips. What was I gonna say about pips? I lost it. It's fine. Move on.
Okay, so like we've talked kind of the menu system, but let's talk about the first area that we were in, because even though we didn't defeat the first boss, we beat a different boss instead, I guess.
We did. We found a random boss, and for some reason,
it was like higher level than we were, and we just went in there and brute forced it, I guess.
But it was higher level by 1.
Yeah.
Like it was 3 and we were 2, and it was just absolutely smoking us.
Oh, that was just a random character. That wasn't even the boss we were talking about. David, what we were fighting was just some guy. That wasn't even. That was just
a dude.
That was just a dude. What we fought was in the basement. It was further down. There's like the shroud, and then me and Tim came across this giant Cthulhu tree, and we opened the Cthulhu tree, and he comes waltzing out, and me and Tim just start throwing shit at him, and we found out he can't get on the stairs. So me and Tim just stood on the stairs and started wailing him with the wands and arrows. So until we got shrouded.
But what do we think about like did you like that first area? Like, were you interested in exploring all over the place?
What made me less interested in exploring was the whole mechanic that I think is the biggest gimmick of this game. And that is the stupid shroud.
Yeah. Limiting
me to this 5 minutes of, you can only be in here for 5 minutes and you have to like get rid of the shroud. And I get it. Explain
what the shroud is for anybody who hasn't played.
Well, so essentially the shroud is like, I don't know, Tim might have a better description of it than me, but it's like this darkness over it and you have to like dissipate it. But if you don't remove it within the certain time frame, you die. Your character just dies inside the shroud.
It's a magical pestilence that's been wrought upon the land by the greed of your ancestors, basically, and your goal is to get rid of it.
It's like you enter into combat zones almost, where you go into certain areas, and once you do, you have a timer that's ticking down, and you can like, there's some things to be able to refill the timer or whatever, but it's supposed to, I think, force you to go in, do some stuff, leave, go back in, go a little bit farther, leave, come back in, because again, it's only specific areas that have this like timer thing going. And I think that it's, I don't know, it wasn't. Do you think it's supposed to be scary? Like, is it supposed to be intimidating?
I think it's just. I don't know if it's supposed to be scary. I think it's just they're adding. Honestly, I think they're adding filler time to this game in a way. They're forcing me to have to like go in and do like, I just want to be in there. Like, I just want to Elden Ring this where I'm like, okay, I don't think I could beat this boss, but if I just dodge roll enough time for 20 minutes and like just hit him with the backstab with the axe, I'll eventually kill it. I can't do this here because I have this looming timer that is constantly there. So if like halfway through a battle, I have to just book it because I'm like, well, I can't beat him. Worst part is that a lot of times the enemy's health regenerates. So it's not like you could just leave, come back, and just finish killing them. No, their health regenerates all the way to the beginning. What if you like leave that area?
Bosses
so it's like
don't though.
Well, yeah, as far as we know, we didn't technically test it. We didn't die and leave though. We died, but we didn't leave.
Did. No one was near us, so I mean,
but we didn't leave.
He didn't regen. I mean, I guess the other guy respawned and we didn't leave, or he regained
That's
his
fair.
health.
You're right.
Leave,
Right.
so.
I don't know. Either way, that was just kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
So if you like die in an area where there's an enemy, you have to run back and just try to get your stuff and then basically die again.
I mean, anyone who likes Souls games is going to be fine with that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Souls games, can I talk about the biggest issue I have with this game? Sorry, I'm going to get right into it.
Sure.
Because I was talking about dodging. Guess what you can't do? I had my wand out and I do one thing. And even though it's at the end of my attack, because I'm still in animation, and these are long-ass animations, people. I'm telling you, these are long-ass animations every strike you do. You can't dodge. What's the fuck point of having a dodge if you can't like attack and dodge? I don't get that.
It's a little bit annoying, but my thing with it is like every single enemy, including the bosses so far, telegraphs for like 45 minutes before they make an attack. So like you should be able to figure out exactly what they're going to do. Because so far the most attacks I've seen on an enemy is 2. You should know exactly what they're going to do and just not be in that animation when they're doing it. You can literally kite any enemy in this game with any weapon just by walking backwards slowly.
I just have a hard time understanding what my animation is because my guy brings out his wand and puts it back, and it's just so long. It's like, is that the end of the animation? I don't know. Like, he's not doing anything other than holding his hand out, and then things come out. You know what I mean? Like, how do I know when my animation ends to be able to do it? That's not necessarily the telegraphing that's the issue. It's knowing when my character is ready to dodge.
It's when you can move.
Well, I'm moving.
Yeah.
I can move. I just can't dodge. I can run around with my wand out, Harry Potter wild, but I can't sit there and dodge it. That drives me crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Every
okay,
other game does it.
One
Every
other
other game does it.
One other complaint. Buttons, like when it gives you E to interact with stuff, you just hit it. I am used to
Hold.
E, you
Yeah.
hold it, but if you do that, nothing happens. So you just have to hit it once
Yeah.
and then stick
Well,
it.
they have that they do differentiate between that. If it's a press, it's just the key, and then if it's a hold, it's the key with a circle around it.
Don't care. I don't care.
Yeah,
I understand. I'm just saying they do let you know.
They try,
but
but it's not worth.
To Chad's
while.
point, the lack of any sort of attack canceling is terrible.
Yes.
I absolutely hate like Elden Ring, for instance. When I
Well,
was
Elden Ring
going through
doesn't do that nearly as bad. Like, you can
No, it does.
kinda
It's
cancel.
You
You can't cancel out of an
You
animation.
can't
really?
cancel out of
either. No.
anything. They should
You gotta
the way
learn the moves.
the way it basically should be done is you have like a basic combo. Like even in this, I think you have like a 3-hit animation combo. You're like 1, 2, and then he does like not a stronger hit, but like a longer wind up attack. You should be able to cancel out of 1. You should be able to cancel out of 2. But if you go for that third one, you're locked into that one, and then you can't do anything out of it.
Yeah. I was just highly irritating. It just felt clunky. Like, it just felt like the dodge really wasn't useful most of the time.
That's a good point though, with like any sort of attacks in this game. Like when we were just screwing around before we actually started playing, we're like jumping around and like rolling and dodging and stuff. And then we found out that like if you're running and jump and attack midair, you dead stop, do your
Just
attack
fall
and
straight
just fall
down.
to the ground.
So
Like
you
there
lose
is
all momentum.
there is no sort of flow or momentum. Like anytime you're going to attack, you just stop dead and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. It just feels like, and I guess this is early access, so a lot of the stuff could be like they're still playing with it. So I don't
Maybe.
want to be, maybe.
I guarantee you that
think this
stuff
is
like
it?
this, the stuff we're complaining about right now, they're designing it this way on purpose.
And if you're listening to this podcast, please, if it's on Spotify, I believe on Apple as well, please follow or subscribe or whatever that button says that's right there below, because then you'll listen to or be able to listen to all the episodes coming out because we have a whole backlog catalog. I think this is like episode 68 or something. Like, there's how many of these we've done. So you can go back and hear future ones as well. So go on and please give us a follow or subscription or whatever that word is that is below you. But now let's talk a little bit about where this game is going, because this is early access, and with any early access game, like a little bit of a grain of salt. Like, I mean, with, like David said earlier, like some of these things are probably here to stay, but like the jank, like there's like, I believe Rick said during the gameplay that he said there's an appropriate amount of jank to this game, which is fair. I think even Pale World's hitting that right now, where there's just a ton of jank, but we're kind of like powering through the jank to like, because it's still fun.
When your character goes down a hill, you go to Mach 5 and just go super fast.
Yeah, you have a lot of momentum. You know, David, they took all the momentum from your attack and put you down
And
a
then you
hill.
like put it into the downhills of the cliffs. But no, that's another really good point though, is that they have these areas where like you can, it almost looks like you should be able to just kind of like slowly walk down the side of the hill. You know, there's like a little bit of a drop and then a small plateau and then it drops again and then maybe like a hill that goes down. But man, oh man, that like you can get down one safely. If you kind of like follow through and go down another downhill, you just slide off and just hit the ground and immediately die. There's no saving it. You got to like stop. Okay, reposition and then slide down the next one. Like, okay, shit, stop.
Yeah.
Okay, then you slide down the next one because you go quick, and like the loss of control, you'll know immediately because like, can I make this one? And you go, nope. Okay, I'm dead.
That's another good point. And it's more about traversing the land. Like they have like areas where you have to like jump over things and do certain things, but they also have like ladders and like these like metal lattices that you can climb up, right? But the problem with the lattices is, and the ladders in particular, is that you just walk up to it and you start climbing, which at first I was like, oh, that's, that's kind of nice. I don't mind that. I kind of wish they didn't. I wish they had like a E or like whatever button to go up, because if you even like, I was trying to jump back, and every single time I would walk too close to it, to even like when I started jumping, my character would automatically catch the lattice and start walking down. And I was getting so irritated. So I tried to like overshoot that, and I just jumped into the hole that I was trying to jump over and died immediately right in front of Tim. So like,
it was very funny.
I'm sure it was, because like, but stuff like that is kind of like, you just need to think it through a little bit more. And I think if they maybe add just like a key to like walking up and down or like climbing things, it might alleviate some of that pain.
Well, even if it could, because I could see them doing something where like, I mean, maybe you wouldn't want to jump into it, but like you jump into whatever you're trying to do and nothing will happen until you like jump again to like grab hold of it.
Well, no, my problem is like, so I was at the edge, right? So say like I'm walking towards it and the lattice is right below my feet, right? If I walk further, I immediately start going down. Yeah. So I'm trying to get, so I need to get across this chasm without my character just immediately walking down. So I would try to jump that, but like you'd have to like kind of compensate and not go as close to the edge. So where he starts going down, that was the issue I was running into. So it was an issue for me.
My question is it feels like we keep talking about complaints we have. This game did hit a million people in early access. Huge groups. What's the draw? What's the thing here that makes it so that it's not like a big old fat flop?
I think honestly, there's a couple things in here that like David mentioned at the forefront, and I think Tim even mentioned. The one thing I think that makes this nice is that like it's not difficult to craft things. Like you don't have to get like a bajillion items to craft a weapon. You just need like 2 sticks and a stone. You know what I mean? Like it's very Minecraft. It's very much like all I need is a couple things. And that's like the base
of Valheim, which requires you to grind for 20 years.
Palworld after like the very base stuff is rough, like to get through some of that stuff. Like you need, it's like a tier list where it's like, okay, I need iron, but to get iron, I need this thing, but to get that thing, I need that thing, and it just gets like this really convoluted thing.
And then even on top of that, like once you have all of the ingredients, then it takes like it's time to craft it. You don't just have the ingredients like, okay, now I can make this item. You have to sit there or put your pals on it. It's like, okay, now I have to wait for this item to be done.
If you try to make a cake in Palworld,
this game does have the waiting in the later stages. I will put that out there right now. Yeah, some of this stuff takes a long time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But still later. Like you immediately get some of that stuff in Palworld though. Or even in Valheim, like where you're sitting there, tink, tink,
yeah,
tink, and it's just like, oh my god, kill me. I hate that. Especially like at least in Palworld versus Valheim. In Palworld, at least you could like have someone do it for you. And sure, you have to wait time. It's like, okay, whatever. But in Valheim, you're like, I'll be here a minute.
Just sitting there.
It just kind of gets bad. So that is one thing I think that makes the game a little bit more exciting. The second thing is I do feel like the world is kind of cool once we get past where we are. I've been seeing a lot of like the background stuff, and like the boss fights look really cool later on. I think if you get past maybe the first little bit that we didn't get past, that's where it might get like more exciting and more fun. I think we're just dogging on it because like it just,
it just started.
It just started. It's early access. There's a lot of issues, and like it's not playing the way that I want to play a survival game.
I mean, you're coming off the back of Palworld, which is
I'm coming off the back of
much more streamlined kind of thing.
Minecraft, like I'm a Minecrafter at heart, so like, and that is like the survival game. You know what I mean?
I think the big thing with this game though is just it's really easy to just sit down and like play. It is like you can just jump right in. You can immediately start crafting your stuff. The combat's not overly intense. Like there's nothing really difficult for the most part. Like some of the enemies feel overtuned and can like one shot you real easy. But like outside of that, combat's super easy. Like you can literally just make a boss walk into a wall for a while and shoot him from afar and not have to worry about it.
That was really fun too, especially, you know, because we were all together where we just backed some guy into a corner and wailed on him until he died.
There's that too.
That's a lot of fun.
If you play with friends, you can stagger anything.
So is this game better alone or with friends, you think?
I always like survival games with friends.
Yeah.
I can play some by myself, but I always prefer them with friends personally.
I would definitely have to see how far I could get in like a comparable amount of time if I was playing by myself. But with something like this, especially since it doesn't seem like loot is shared, it would be without needing to go into like that second or third menu where it's like gifting the items you have to another person. It seems like it would be easier to get through things on your own.
Yeah.
That is actually one thing that did bug me is I have to gift them to people instead of just dropping them on the ground.
Most things.
I didn't know how to drop.
There was a few things you could drop. Like you drop a torch. You can drop the torch, or you could throw the torch.
Yeah,
I don't know if that has like an implication.
I think you could throw it, so you that way.
But I was trying to give Rick a sword, and I couldn't just drop it.
Nope.
I couldn't just like take it out of my inventory.
And it had to be either
held in my hand or like drop it on the ground.
I didn't like that. The fact that they had to be like on your.
You can't
asshole.
heal. You cannot heal people you're playing with.
You have to give them the item. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give them the thing, and then they heal.
One other thing
I was wondering about bandages. I wasn't sure.
One of the other things that we still haven't even mentioned is that this is a persistent world for everybody, meaning that if you do play with friends, if they go and clear and beat a whole bunch of bosses and like do stuff, you just miss out on that shit if you're not there.
Yeah.
Like if you're
not there for that run.
If we were to play this game, all four of us, I would hate it because Tim would do shit at 4 a.m. when he's awake. And I'm like just totally asleep. And I wake up and I go, wow, cool. So glad that we experienced 100% this.
What happened.
So much Shroud has been cleared.
Yeah,
when did
this
that
is weird.
Yeah. That's true. I didn't think of that part because Pal World actually does the opposite where it's like, okay, it's clear for me, but like anybody else who joins, it's still like, you can go, you have to go unlock it yourself. So I think that is, I mean, at the same time though, if you're playing this game, I think that's the difference. Like this is a very different style of survival versus
the thing is, I think they could even like Minecraft, like if we're playing Minecraft and Tim comes over and he's like, I need a torch. I just go, here's a torch, Tim.
Yeah.
I don't need to open up a second menu and be like, okay, gift Tim however many torches. Let me just drag it out of my hotbar and throw it on the ground. Type thing. Like,
or press Q.
Press Q to throw it on the ground. Yeah, some dedicated key just to get it out of my inventory. I shouldn't have to go into a menu and be like, okay, give this person so many of item. It's like that is the dumbest thing that they could have done.
It doesn't bug me like a lot, but it is extremely irritating to say the least. Like I do like games that give me the option to split stacks like that, but again, it's done way better with Minecraft where I can just press shift and then Q and then bam,
or right click is a great way to, like, I don't know. I even had this problem with Pal World where I hate the fact that how to split items in there, so I can't even say they do it better. But all right, let's finally move on to some final grievances. And Tim, I know you have one that you supposedly think that we all would share, and you're shocked that we haven't even mentioned it. And I have a feeling, I don't know what it is, and I'm curious, but I think
David
I'll agree.
will agree
that it's ugly.
Oh.
My main grievance
100%.
with this entire game is in fact the hotbar itself, because I don't want you to automatically add shit to my hotbar that doesn't belong there.
Oh.
I hate that, and it drives me crazy, and you have to go through like 3 menus to change your hotbar out, and it drives me insane because anytime you put items like anywhere or you use something, there's open space in your hotbar, so if you touch something, it's going to just add it to your hotbar. It drives me crazy. Like I'm at my weapons on my hotbar and my healing items. That's it. I don't need the rest of that crap that does nothing.
I don't need water. I don't need a stick. Yeah, yes. I'm right there with you. Minecraft does that too, though.
Crafting materials.
But yeah, I'm
but
100% with you.
Minecraft's interface is so much quicker to just like, oh, I picked up some things
Right.
and it went into my bar. Fuck you, put it in my backpack or my inventory, whatever.
Yeah,
I can
keep it off
literally
go
just
through any
shift
hoops to
click
move
it
it.
when it's in my hotbar and it goes away.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's really quick to get it out.
All
Dave,
right,
do you have an additional?
Oh yeah,
or
let
no,
David
Rick?
go.
Oh, okay.
David
do you
said
have
that he
one?
had a big
No,
one.
the one thing that I think needs like just all of the attention right now, vast amounts of improvement is the map. And I don't mean like the area you're playing in. I mean like the map that you pull up to look at the area around you is terrible. There is like no information on that map about your surroundings other than like, oh, there's a pip over here. And like there's a question mark over in like that general direction. There's some lines if there's a town or a village that got destroyed. There's like a little bit of lines, but it doesn't show you where the enshrouded areas are. It doesn't show you like the kind of lay of the land if it isn't a segmented off area. They need to overhaul the information that they're showing on that map that you can bring up, because right now it's borderline useless except for selecting a pip to fast travel to.
That's true.
My final grievance is something that we spent zero time complaining about here because we didn't do a ton of it. The building was not that fun. No, like I get again.
It felt like it was tiny. Like the pieces of wood you were using were like
Yes.
it looked a 2x2. Yeah.
You can't click and drag to fill stuff in. So like if I'm making a wall, it's click, click, click. Oh, I fucked it up. Remove. Click again. Click. Click. Now the second row. Click. 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 Like maybe I'm just stupid, but again, this goes back to what I said at the very beginning. You got to hold my hand at least a little bit. There was none about building. It didn't say, "Hey,
No, it didn't explain
make
it
sure
at
you
all.
build a house to stay in. Make sure you know what is," because like apparently there's a benefit to feeling rested.
Yeah.
Like what? Where was that? None of that was. Nobody told me that I needed to sleep. Nobody said like, "What do you have to do to make this happen?" Like I just sort of, kind of picked it up by like, oh, it says
Being
that I
in
should,
the house.
yeah, it should be rested.
That's the other thing. The other thing too, especially with that build interface, like they have hotkeys for when you're just like in the world and like moving, like you select an item and you can like rotate it and stuff, but then you can press Alt and it brings up like a big menu to like have more buildable objects. But you can't use the mouse to select anything from them. You sort of like scroll real through and then like use another set of keys to tab through this way. Like if once you open up that expanded menu, I should just be able to click a different object that I want to build.
Like it feels, if I could sum up any complaint I have, it's that these menus and the information is too, not even clunky, but like it isn't sexy enough in the sense of like make it quick, make it super easy, and make it so a monkey could do it. And
Literally, there's so many others that do it already.
Yeah.
Just mimic that.
It feels like a PC game that got ported to console and they had to dumb down things to use on a controller, but then kept that control scheme in the PC release.
It is recommended to use a controller.
Really?
There you go.
Yeah, it is both a full controller support. So you might be onto something where this is more based for like when it fully releases out, that like this will be like heavily on Xbox
So like they're
and PlayStation.
designing it for console.
So which is weird because like it's Steam only early access, so I don't understand that.
yeah, but
mentality.
it is coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S as well. So
Yeah,
It explains
eventually.
a lot.
So that might be some of the grievances that we're having on the PC side, that because they're placating towards the console plebs.
Controller crowd.
Yeah. But anyways, we're gonna move on to the final say to find out if we'll continue this game. So we all played this game, so I'll just pick a random. I guess I'll start. I'll start.
Do it.
Whether or not I'd continue Enshrouded. No, I will not continue Enshrouded. I was really excited for this, and I was like, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I love me like a survival build game, especially coming off Pal World right now. I'm just like literally addicted to that game. But it really is not scratching the itch that like, the Forest or Valheim, Pal World, Minecraft scratches the way that I should have. It's really leaving me the same way Ravenbound left me, which was just like, okay, serviceable, but like literally would I have 3 or 4 other games that do it better? In my opinion, again, I don't know if I'll want to play this one. And again, maybe some of the clunk will go away after, early access is done, but I honestly don't want to wait that long to find out. And by then, 15 other survival games will have come out in its place. So that's just my 2 cents. So David, would you continue Enshrouded?
I would not continue Enshrouded. I think Tim hit the nail on the head with this one. All of these games, they're the same game.
Yes.
And what you're looking for is like that gimmick, the twist they put on it to
The shroud.
like, differentiate itself. And with this one, I could see getting a few more hours into this where it's like, okay, I want to clear the shroud from these areas. And I think that really ties into this problem I have with the map, where it's like, if I could see how much of these areas were enshrouded, but like, oh, I want to clear this area to see what's over in that direction.
It's almost like a progression meter. And the map
and
could
you could,
be.
it's almost like a Far Cry when you can like clear these bases to get them to change to your color. But this has nothing right now that I could see. Oh, I triggered something. This has nothing right now that I could see where it's like, beyond being a survival crafting game, there's nothing else here to hook me.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, we're going to move on to you because you look like you need to say something. Would you continue?
He's going to do it. He's going to
Oh,
stay.
absolutely not. I would not continue. But
right.
no.
Shut Rick up.
All right.
No, I played the demo for this during Next Fest and was wholly unimpressed at that time because it's just every other game like this. The Shroud is 100% their gimmick with this, and like it would be neat. I don't hate the idea. I like the idea that they're going for with it, but like it doesn't add any tension at all.
It's
like,
more of an annoyance than attention.
Yeah, it needs something that makes it feel more intense so that I care when I'm in the shroud, because I just walk in there and I'm like, oh, I don't even notice I'm dying until like the last 2 seconds because I don't care. But like what David just brought up with the map, greatest idea ever. They need to do that because that one little thing would honestly like kick off that little part of my brain that loves prizes.
Yeah.
And I would immediately be looking around like, oh, I want to go over here. So let's clear out this space. And that would give me my own sense of progression every time. That would make this 1,000 times better. I don't think that I would still like the game. But like that would be like a huge positive that would have pointed me in that direction for sure.
That's a good
no,
point.
I will not continue this.
Because actually, really, another game that did that where you kind of like you do things to clear out the map was Ghostwire. When you clear the shrines,
it does
you can
do that.
Open the map up by doing those little bases.
Such a good idea.
I think that's something interesting that I didn't think about earlier. There is a little bit of it, but there's not a huge sense of progression in this. And that's like 1,000% the point of a survival game, especially those survival building game like this. Like Pal World's doing a great job. Minecraft is a little bit of the outlier because technically it's just like you just go and exist in Minecraft. Yeah. So I don't want to say that.
I think what Minecraft has though is that it's quick.
That's true.
Whenever you're like, you dig dirt, mine stone, build this, build that, like you can set up a really good farm base, whatever.
Your progression is just naturally built up as you get items. Yeah. But Rick, would you continue knowing that this isn't your type of game, mind you?
No.
I should start with you because I knew that was coming.
You know what? My daughter plays Dragon Quest Builders a whole bunch. She doesn't play. She plays some Minecraft, but she's into Dragon Quest Builders, and I am okay with that because it's like the building's fine enough that you can just be like placing the blocks and doing a whole bunch and doing all that kind of shit. I feel like there's nothing here that made me go like, oh, I need to come back and really build a base. Like no, thank you. I don't know. I'm 1 million people in beta or in early access. Great. I'm super proud of them. The devs have obviously worked hard on a title like this. I think it's ugly. I think it's uninspiring. And I think that people have low taste. I don't know how to put it nicely. I'm sorry.
Again, I was looking at some stuff later on in the game. It does look fun. So I'm thinking maybe if it just started fun, if it just started fun and there was some sense of progression, I might have been hooked earlier, but they just don't do a really good job at selling it early on.
Have a word of advice to all of the devs out there working on a project: start your game fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I don't want to be too meta and talk about our podcast on our podcast, but I think it's what we do is IGN can go and do the full reviews where they get the end game content. They do all that other kind of shit. I think the first, like, we played 2 hours, right? Like, hour and a half, 2 hours or so. What are you doing if in 2 hours I'm not walking out of there being like, hey, 30 minutes, I get it. Like, it's still, maybe you have to set up.
Still in the tutorial.
You have to do all that kind of stuff. But 2 hours, I do not understand modern games that are just like, oh, no, it gets really good after the first 20. Don't worry about it.
There's so many people. Like last week, Sovereign Syndicate, wasn't there a ton of people being like, oh, it gets super fun after 20 hours. Kill me. Yeah. I don't want to wait. It's like, I don't want to watch a whole season of, The Office before it gets good. Like, I don't want to do that.
Sovereign Syndicate would be really bad too, because like it's mostly just reading. Like you're reading a book and a half before it gets good. Thank you.
I'm good.
And you know what? There are a lot of books like that. But anyways, if you are interested in this game, you know what?
More power to you.
More power to you. 1 million people can't be wrong. It's got very positive reviews. So maybe there's something's wrong with this. These brains right here maybe is the problem. But if you are more into the PAL world, you might not like this. I'll just say that much. If you're more into PAL world Minecraft, this might not be your cup of tea. But if you're more into like maybe Elden Ring, maybe, or like that Soulsian, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another comparison.
No. If you're into the bog standard survival genre, Ark, you're into this game. There you go.
Ark.
I like Ark.
Yeah, did you love Ark? Give this a try.
Ark's not bad. But all right, fine. If you like Ark, you'll like this maybe. But thank you for listening to the First 30. And if you'd like to see more of the insanity, if you're listening to this, go to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/@First30podcast.